Welcome to the Basic Sapper Guide. This will be useful for new players, especially for those who mostly play objective. If you want advice on Endless, I don't play that. But it should work, I guess. Do note that I'm only talking about the default Sapper, the hammer, the buildings, and the axe. That means no utilities and other unlockables. Without further ado, let us begin. The Sapper is the only class that can build, and buildings are important since they can hold the undead in place for a long period of time. This makes the Sapper the most important class in the game. In most cases, only 1 to 3 Sapper is needed, but it's okay if there's more than that. It's your lad's choice, the more the merrier. Just make sure there's a teammate that can synergize with you, like anyone with the melee and anyone that can shoot. Anyhow, let's talk about his main loadout. The Sapper has a hammer. It is small, but it has big ambitions. It builds 3 types of buildings, which is useful in specific situations. Once you place down a building, you will notice it is not built yet. It is because you have to build the building so it can be built. This is by pressing it with your hammer, of course. You can also repair said buildings the same way by just clicking them with the hammer. You can also click your teammates' buildings to help them build them up faster or repair them. They will surely appreciate it. Another note, each Sapper can only build up to 10 buildings, and the whole server can only handle 30 buildings. This is why when the time comes, you have to destroy them by pressing X. For this enables destruction mode. You then click the buildings again with the hammer to destroy them. You can also rotate buildings by pressing R. It is useful for proper placement. Lastly, remember the map you are playing on. Every map is different, so map knowledge is important. Memorizing where undead spawns, how much that spawns, and some key areas on where to build will give you an advantage to playing the Sapper. With all those basics in mind, here are the buildings. Press Q to build the Barricade. It is the most important building, for it is wide and beefy, boasting the most health out of all the buildings. Use this when preparing base on a new location. They are used to block the undead from passing. To use them effectively, always build them at a choke point where most undead meet, like here in Berezina. There's walls, so the undead can't go anywhere else but this door right here. If there's no walls or cliffs, just make a very wide wall. It works surprisingly well. Also, if there's an important map objective, place your barricades blocking the undead from the objective. Also, do not ignore your buildings when it's being damaged. Keep repairing them. If it falls, reconstruct those buildings again when the undead are pushed back. This will further increase your team's survival. While at it, build more lanes at the back. Do not have one lane of barricades. Make use of all your buildings. Have plenty. So just in case your first wall falls, the second wall will act as a safety net like here in Cobb. Now for some suggestions. Make some space for your team so they can easily retreat or camp. Try to also give space with each backlane so it does not get easily destroyed by bombers and igniters like here in Vardahos Fortress. This gives your team time to easily shoot down the bombers and igniters themselves. Building at the undead spawn is also a fine strategy, since you have more space for your team like here in Zig, unless of course, bombers or igniters can spawn there. Bombers and igniters explode once you hit them, and since you and your team will have a hard time spotting them, your team could easily slice them and blow themselves up. You could also be part of that casualty. This is your fault, not them. This is why giving space is important, unless of course there's no choice like here in Copenhagen. Also, If the area you are camping on has many undead choke point or spawn, make sure to cover them all before the undead arrive. The more the sapper, the more easier it is to cover the whole area. If the undead finally arrive, hold and defend one of the cover. If there's already a sapper holding one cover, go to the other cover. This causes your team to not get easily surrounded by the undead. However, some maps, despite having 2 or more undead spawning from them, has that one area with less undead coming from them. Make sure only one sapper hold and cover it, while the rest of the sappers go to the most undead prone area. Lastly, what if there's multiple undead coming in different area and you are the only sapper? Then just commit to one area, preferably the one with the most undead. Do not juggle with 2 or more area since you are wasting valuable time of one area. And since there's 2 area, you are just wasting time on both. If you really wanna build on multiple areas at once, only do it when you have many time to prepare, like before the undead spawns. In conclusion, barricades are the best building. The other buildings are not useless per se, they are just so situational. So how do we make use of the other buildings? Press F to build the Caltrops. It builds the fastest, is the widest, but the shortest, gets destroyed the fastest, and is best used on areas that are flat, because you cannot build it on slightly elevated surfaces. Instead of blocking the undead, it slows them down when they walk over it. However, this damages the Caltrops. With those downsides, you might think it's terrible. Well, it is not. It's great as a temporary building due to its fast build time. Here are some examples. Like, are you alone for some unknown reason and there's so many undead chasing you? Use the Caltrops. It slows them down so you could escape. A temporary defense so you could build your barricade? Use the Caltrops. Little defense is better than no defense. Want a building on a short term and unimportant area? Use the Caltrops. Fast to build and fast to destroy, but enough for survival. Runner chasing you down? Use your weapon, or place down a Caltrop first, then kill them with style. Mostly effective in swarms. Caltrops. It's just so useful. Place now! It might get destroyed easily by being stepped on, but that's a good thing since you do not need to destroy it yourself anymore. But I suggest do not even bother repairing it while it is in action, especially if there's a horde coming. Let it die and build a barricade instead or more Caltrops. The problem with the Caltrops is that placing it is so inconsistent. Even if you find a flat surface, for some reason, you just can't place it. This is why map knowledge is important. Knowing area that allows you to place Caltrops will be useful in situation when it is needed. But what if you want a building that's fast like the Caltrops, but more consistent and can block the undead like the barricade? Press E to build the stakes. It's small, its health is mediocre, but it can damage any undead that attacks it, and it can insta-kill runners and bombers. This is the riskiest building in the game. In fact, having a stake might be more dangerous due to the bomber explosion. Also, sometimes it just doesn't damage the undead at all. Despite that, it still has its niche use cases. Like, is your team doing anything else? Then the stakes is good to act like a secondary player that fights back, especially if your team ignores your existence. Also, like the Caltrops, you can build it on short term and least important area as well. In fact, it is much more effective because you can place it anywhere in the map unlike the Caltrops. Also, do not use stakes as your primary defense. The barricade is better for that job. since it's wide and beefy. And for damage, your teammates exist, don't they? The stakes would be a waste of time, health, space, and would not be necessary for damage. However, if you are running out of time to build, use the stakes. Due to the stakes' faster build-up time, it is the best building for a barricade substitute. But still try rebuilding the barricades when the undead are pushed back. If you feel like playing with both barricades and stakes for fun, or if there's just a lot of barricades already, then do not put barricades and stakes together, unless there's no bombers, cause your barricades acts like a protection for your team, especially against bombers. And if you place them together where bombers spawn, well, let's just say goodbye to your teammates. What you instead need to do is place it far away from your barricades while being spread out so that it can still catch and kill runners and bombers. That's all the buildings the Sapper can place, I guess. Always remember that these are all just advice and could even be outdated in the future. It's okay to break some rules I made. It's not like you are in hardcore or anything. Go crazy! Just build what you wanna build, unless there's this yellow thing. These yellow things are already pre-placed buildings on the map. You cannot change it or move it. Just click on it and it will act like a barricade. Its existence means there's a reason it is there, so make use of it. Difference between this and the barricade is that they are built much faster. Everything else is similar, so treat them like a barricade. That's all the buildings, for real this time. It's time to talk about the axe. This is the axe. The axe deals damage, big damage. It can instantly kill every undead in the game besides Sappers. It can hit multiple undead at once, making it great against a group of undead piling up in your building. Sounds good, right? However, it is slow. It's terrible against a bunch of runners, or if you are overwhelmed by a horde due to its slow swing speed. However, you will not be in that situation if you actually build something. The axe rewards the sapper for building buildings. Since building stalls the undead, it can group them up as well. Perfect for your happy-go-lucky axe due to it taking advantage of its crowd control potential. When moving location, always have the axe pulled out and ready to attack. This is useful just in case your teammates gets grabbed by shamblers or runners. Damage is not the only thing the axe is good at. When holding the axe, you can press F. This is called the shove. It stuns the undead temporarily. It's also much faster than the axe's main attack. It's also able to stun swarms, giving you time to repair buildings that the undead are piling up to. Not only is it good at self-defense, it's also good at supporting your team. You can act like a walking wall for your team when there's a horde. You can also save people when they are being grabbed, much more effective and faster than the main attack. However, it cannot stun igniters and bombers. Do not worry, there's no reason for you to do that in the first place. Let your team handle them. Zappers don't get stunned easily unless they attack already. In this situation, what you need to do is just hold the shove key to brace your axe. This stuns them temporarily. You don't really need to brace yourself if the Zapper are coming. If you notice the Zapper about to attack, just hold it immediately. Lastly, the axe and the hammer are good when paired together. Like for example, you can build and attack, or just repair and shove, then attack. This is because the hammer is fast, instantly working when you pull it out. However, always keep building. I know the axe is cool and all, but your entire gimmick is building. Forgetting to build and just using the axe is a recipe for disaster for your team. So still remember to keep on building. And that's everything. What else? Do not die. I guess that's obvious, but your entire class is important. When you die, no undead will be halted. This will overwhelm your team. So try not to die and build as much as possible. No pressure, of course. Also, if you die by mistake or by accident, just relax and try again. There's always next time. Do not try to get mad or blame others. Being mad makes your performance worse, and blaming others leads to arguments or just puts them down. Just calm down or teach and encourage each other to do better. And that's all. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I might make more if you like this tutorial. If you have criticism, like this horrible audio, and if I talk too fast, just tell me. I'll figure something out. Goodbye. Now what?